Just want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon. Coach, we'll start with an opening statement from you, go over the kids, and then we'll open it up for questions from the media.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate all of y'all and thank y'all for your time. But I'm extremely excited about this group. I'm probably about as fired up about this recruiting class as any class that I've been a part of. These four guys are definitely the type of players that we want in the program. I think they make us better from day one. They have all the attributes that we're looking for in players. Start off with our two signees from Tyler Junior College, Rory Pantafillet, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Rory's a 6'9", runs like a gazelle, has great hands. He's a guy that's really going to help us on the pick and roll because he gives us a lob threat. We can throw it up to the corner of the backboard and he'll be able to finish it. He'll put pressure on the defense when he runs the floor. Make us a lot tougher to guard in transition, and he rebounds out of his area. So just a guy that definitely gives us some size and gives us the ability to get a bucket inside. And then Kiefer Punter is a shooter, 6'3" shooter from Tyler Junior College as well. He shot right around 45% from the three-point line, if I'm not mistaken. Love what he does. He's the ultimate OKG. Just a great person. Can really shoot the basketball. He also has the capability to go off the bounce, but he's definitely known for his three-point shooting. He's a good, solid defender, and just kind of one of those kids that you love to coach and you love to be around. And then our two freshmen, we have Christian Turner out of South Grand Prairie High School in Texas. He's 6'7". He has a 6'11" wingspan. Can really shoot the three. He's a great passer. I think what really got me the most fired up was the fact that he won Defensive Player of the Year in his district, which is one of the toughest districts in the state of Texas. But another guy that just is extremely coachable, does all the little things, has no real flaws in his game. And then last but certainly not least is Duke Miles. You guys are probably most familiar with him. Duke, when I first saw him, Coach Mangrum took me over there and we watched him. He had seen him maybe once or twice before that. We only had one scholarship at the time. We were looking kind of for a shooting guard, and I'll tell you what, he had everything that I was looking for because he's a guy that plays on both sides of the ball. He defends extremely well. I think that's kind of his calling card, is he's an unbelievable defender, but he's a guy that can really slash and get to the basket. He makes the right reads. He makes the right passes. He's a winner. You know, the fact that he won 33 games and to one loss. The Alabama super team, which is comprised of the top 5 players in the state of Alabama, regardless of classification or class, speaks to what he was able to accomplish this year. So with that being said, those four, I think, definitely are going to help us, and definitely all 4 of them are good enough to help us win a championship here at Troy.
Coach, thank you very much. Do we have questions from the assembled media?
Scott, this is John Johnson at the Dustin Eagle. Could you talk about what your biggest needs were going into this recruiting period and if you felt you met them?
Well, I think definitely point guard was probably the biggest concern because, D.A. played point guard for us and Ty Gordon played point guard, and both those guys were in the transfer portal. Dez has the capability of playing point guard for us, as we saw a little bit last year, but I think Dez, with his three-point shooting, kind of thrives off of the ball. So we had to address that and make sure that we got 2 really good point guards that could come in and play right away. Duke, I think, is a guy that can come in as a freshman, just like Dez and Jakeevan last year, and has the ability to play significant minutes right away as a freshman. With his defensive ability, I think he can change the game, just like Dez was able to at times last year for us. So for me, that was the biggest area of concern. I don't think you can ever have too many point guards on your team because, especially when you run a pick and roll offense the way that we do, You got to have guys that can pass, dribble, and shoot and make reads off of the ball. And for point guards are able to dribble and keep their eyes up and kind of dissect the defense. And usually guys that play the 2 and the 3 and the 4 don't have that ability to do it. And Duke is definitely one of those guys that will be able to make the right reads and get the ball where it needs to go for us.
Coach, you guys struggled a little bit shooting the ball last year, free throws, 3-point shooting, effective field goal, all in the 300s. Was shooting a big focus in this class?
Well, any player that I recruit, I want to make sure that they're a solid shooter. You don't want to recruit any bad shooters into your program because bad shooters, you can really opposing teams can game plan against you, and it makes it tough to score. I think these 4 guys. I mean, Rory, we're not going to ask him, but he does have the ability to shoot threes, but that's not what he does. But 1 through 4, your point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and power forward, in our offense, they all have to be able to shoot the 3 and, have to be respectable from the 3-point line. I think all of these guys will do a great job with that. I think Kiefer and Christian will really stretch the defense. Duke is a very solid 3-point shooter as well. So I think all those guys definitely will help us in that area.
Coach, I know your mantra has been take the stairs for the last couple of years now. I expect these guys to kind of take on that mantra, and how do you kind of expect them to mesh with the guys who have already locked into that take the stairs mantra?
Well, as we were recruiting, I mean, we had that in the back of our mind, that we're looking for our kind of guys, OKGs that will take the stairs. They'll do the little things that are selfless. So as we're watching them play, we're looking, and when they're subbed off the floor, they're clapping for their teammates, or they looking their coach in the eye, or do they look coachable or not look coachable? And there's been a couple of guys, I mean, I'll just be honest, that were way, way good enough. And I'll go watch them play, and they're not OKGs, so we move on. These 4 definitely fit the category. We do believe that they're all, take the stairs type of guys. They're all, and we ask tons and tons and tons of questions with their coaches, assistant coaches, anybody that's known them, other coaches in the district that have played against them, what their thoughts were, what type of person. Because we want high character kids. That's part of being an OKG, is a high character kid. So all of that kind of factored in. And I think because they're definitely going to fit our coaching staff. And I think the players that are coming back, obviously they wanted to be here for a reason. We wanted them to be here for a reason. And that's because they fit that mold as well. The guys that don't either, left on their own or, aren't here for a different reason. But the guys that are returning definitely fit that. And so I think when, you're a high character individual and you do those things, you're definitely going to mesh well with other high character individuals that are take the stairs type of guys too.
Yeah. Coach, I know you, it's a very young team that you have from last year and the guys you lost this off season. Is the expectation for this year adding these 4 guys to go out there and win this title, or are you trying to, just trying to work them in the process right now, get them accustomed to college basketball and work more towards the future?
Well, I mean, obviously the ultimate goal will be to win a championship. You don't ever want to go into a season not believing that you can win a championship. I believe that we can win a championship, but, again, your focus has to be on getting better each and every day, just like it was, this past season. But yeah, I mean, I definitely expect to have more success than what we had this past season. But we did some great things. Beating 3 of the top 4 teams in the league shows what we were capable of. We just weren't very consistent and didn't do it over a sustained period of time. But, having a full roster back, having Zay Williams back for an entire year, Dez and Jakeevan being older, Nick Stampley being older, adding these guys, I do believe 100% that we're going to be better this year.
Scott, I missed the very first part of this, but do you expect any more signees to come in? And also, if you don't mind, would you go back through your roster on who's returning? Because I know you had some that transferred out.
Yes. So the signees so far are Duke Miles, Rory Pantoflet, Kiefer Punter, and Christian Turner. Those are the 4 guys that we've signed. We do expect to sign one more, hopefully today at some point. Then we do have 2 scholarships still left. Right now, the guys that will be returning are Jakeevan Leffridge, Nick Stampley, Tyreek Williams, and Khalil Waters. Those are the guys right now that are for sure coming back. Well, not for sure, but as of today, that's the plan moving forward. So, yeah, nothing is for sure until everyone gets here on campus.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned all the success that Duke had, during his high school days, but he had such a good season, collectively winning the state championship. How much do you weigh in the team success, before they come into their first year with your program? Does that tend to spark anything, give them momentum coming in?
Absolutely. I think when you recruit winning programs, the guys just expect to win. They know how to win. So I think it's huge. I mean, the fact that Duke went 33-1, he's going to come in here right away, and he's not going to be satisfied with anything other than winning a championship. And that's what you want. You want competitive guys like that. The 2 Tyler junior college kids, they actually broke a record for most wins in the school history. And that's one of the most storied, traditioned junior colleges in the country. And I believe they won 27 games this past season, and probably the toughest outside of the Florida league, probably the toughest JC league anywhere in the country. And then Christian Turner plays at South Grand Prairie. They're in one of the toughest districts. And I think I saw something that had them maybe in the top 10 of most successful programs in the state of Texas over the last 10 years. So all 4 of those guys come from winning programs, and definitely, that's not to say that we won't recruit a kid if he's not successful, but when they do come from winning programs, it's definitely a plus. If all things are being equal, we're definitely going with the kid that wins basketball games.
Coach, talk about taking advantage of your Texas pipeline and still getting the home state talent.
Well, I'm most excited. I mean, obviously, to be able to recruit this area, we have to start here. There's a ton of good players in the state of Alabama. We did try on a couple in the early signing period, didn't have as much success. We're hoping for one more in the great state of Alabama, but Duke Miles just right there, a top 5 player in the state that won a state championship in the largest classification. I mean, that's tremendous right there. As far as Texas, I mean, I played at Tyler Junior College. Coach Marquis is a good friend of mine. Back in 2000, what was it? It would have been 2010, I believe. He called me up and said, "Hey, you're an alum." He's like, "We got a lot of good players over here. Why don't you come recruit them?" And so went over there and we signed a guy by the name of Bradley Gay that helped us win a championship. And then 2 years later, we signed another one, Faith Pope, that was a part of our 2015 through 2017 teams that were the most successful probably in school history. And Faith, both those kids were extremely coachable and just winners. And so anytime Coach Marquis calls up that way. And then South Grand Prairie, Coach Bennett, really good friends with him. His youngest son and my middle son actually played AAU basketball together, and so we got to know them really, really well. I always knew him, but we really kind of grew during that year or two that they were playing summer basketball together. So we'll always go a little bit in Texas because we do have a lot of connections, but we definitely want to start in Alabama because, I do think Alabama's probably a little bit under-recruited compared to Texas, and there's a ton of great players in Alabama.
Coach, I can confirm you're getting a good guy there in South Grand Prairie. I'm from that area, so
nice.
grew up watching all of their basketball, South Grand Prairie, Duncanville, DeSoto, all of that.
It's good, yeah. It's a tough district.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about what recruiting has been like for you during this time, because obviously you don't get that same person-to-person contact and coming to visit the school. So what has that been like for you?
It's probably helped for us, because right now, this time of year, we're on the run. We're flying all over. We're watching different events, trying to chase them down, but you don't get to spend as much one-on-one time. Like, my whole afternoons are free. Usually most of the kids, they're sleeping all morning long, so I don't catch them till, probably noon all the way through 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. And so it's forced me to basically FaceTime these kids, and you're really able to build relationships, and they know if a head coach is calling them on FaceTime once a day or every other day, then it's pretty serious. And then when you can really carry on a conversation and feel like you know them, I think that relationship is ultimately what matters. So you're able to strengthen a relationship, and they're going to come here because of that relationship. Obviously, we get them excited by showing them a tour of Trojan Arena and maybe doing a Zoom call where we're walking them around campus. That kind of gets their interest going. But I think what ultimately convinces them is the time that we spend one-on-one during those FaceTime calls and that kind of stuff. And so I think it's been good, and I think we'll have stronger relationships with these guys than, any other players that we've had over a long, long period of time, because it forces you to really, really build those. There's nothing else going on, so what else are you going to do besides spend 45 minutes on a FaceTime call?
Yeah, Coach.
So
obviously, all
good.
the recruiting time is pivotal. It's key. But did you feel like there was a little bit more importance on this recruiting class, considering maybe how you guys finished up last year and the amount of players that are that are leaving?
Absolutely. I think I've been a head coach 12 or 13 years, but I would definitely say this has been the most important recruiting class that I've ever been a part of. I mean, it was imperative that we sign some guys that are capable of coming in and winning a Sun Belt championship. And so, there's tons of players out there. The bottom line is you can't sign a bad one, is the bottom line. Not just a bad basketball player, but a bad person. And I feel really, really confident that all of these guys check both those boxes. And, when you can do that, then you're definitely going to take steps in the right direction.
You said you've been FaceTiming and talking on the phone and Zoom meeting with a lot of these kids that are coming in and signing. Which group would you say it's been harder to keep in contact with over this kind of period where you're transitioning from in-person meetings? Would you say it's been the high school kids or the college transfers?
I think it's probably been about equal. I think once you kind of get that connection, then it's been pretty easy. I would say, if they're not answering my calls, we usually kind of fade away and focus on the ones that do seem like there's a genuine interest. So all of the ones that we have signed or will sign, it's definitely been really easy. They, pretty much either pick up the phone or they'll text and say, hey, can I call you back at 9 o'clock tonight? And so all of the ones, probably if we're going to sign them, we probably don't have a whole lot of trouble getting in touch with them.
Coach, these 4 players that you've signed so far, now you're looking at a few others. What do they bring to the table for you this year that was different than your first year here at Troy?
Well, I think they all embody our core kind of values. Toughness, competitiveness, selflessness. I think all 4 of these guys definitely do that. They fit that. We asked, like I mentioned earlier, we asked a ton of questions about their background and how coachable they are. But they all have the necessary talent to be successful. But it's those character traits that I think gets me the most excited. Because if you're coaching a team and the guys really aren't coachable, then you know, at the end of the day, there's only so much that you can do. But when you have a group of guys that are, you know, bought into what you're trying to do and they really want to get better, then, you know, you can game plan, you can X and O. There's a lot of things that you can do to help your team overachieve. And I feel like with this group, we're going to have that, and it'll be a group that is going to be able to overachieve in the long run. So I feel really good about it.
Coach, one more basketball question from me. Another area of weakness was defensive rebounding last year. Do you feel like you improved on that with this class?
Well, Rory averaged like 9 rebounds a game in that junior college league. That the talent level is very comparable probably to what you're going to see in the Sun Belt. So I think that could easily translate to a similar number here at Troy. So he definitely is going to help us. Christian is a solid rebounder. You know, I think Kiefer for his position will be able to rebound as well. I think Duke for his position is going to be a good rebounder. So, you know, to be a great rebounding team, I think each guy for that position has to be pretty good. But, you know, rebounding a lot of it is want to. So the more guys that you have that want to do the little things and make the winning plays, the better you're going to be as a rebounding team.
Anything else? Well, everyone, thank you very much. Hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. Coach, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to seeing everybody back here in the fall.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right, Coach. Thank you.